Is it working?
What if I change my profile pic to the Chinese man? Random. Oh shit.
Okay. Alright, start talking. Alright, so today we're talking about Corrupted after 2 years. I did a poll, remember? And I think I got like 54 or 60 people to respond, and only like 50%, about 50% said they actually remembered it. And I was like, wow. Corrupted is now canceled.
No!
Corrupted episode 1 was uploaded in November 2025, 2016.
Stone Ages.
So since then, now it's 2022, which makes it technically 6 years old. Even though I like upload like nothing related to Corrupted, there's always gonna be that one comment in like every video that was just like, "Are you gonna go back to Corrupted?" And then I was just like, "Okay, I should probably address this before."
Yeah, when are you adding me to Corrupted? Is it
Corrupted began as this random story of a bunch of StickNodes animators just kind of running away from a virus and shit. And
dude, it's just like COVID.
One of the red flags of the series is that there's just too many characters to follow along with. When I started in 2016, I didn't really know how to write a plot, and then as I got like more into writing a story, because that's what I'm trying to do with like the last run and just SMX Vs Sans, because telling a story is like, I don't know how series work. When you're telling a story and you want like characters to matter, because at this point we're all just, the only difference that every character had from one another was because they had different powers, and that was because they were from different people. So, like, that's all you can get from that. But other than that, they were just kind of in the same situation, and like kind of didn't really do anything with their personalities other than like one broad stereotype. You can't keep up a story that you started when you were 11 years old, because I'm 17 right now, and in about 2 months I'm turning 18. And
yeah, bro, you gotta start planning for retirement. That's
one of the main things that I did or the reasons why I canceled was because it was just so insanely cringe to look at. Like, I wrote the plot, I wrote the series like monsters and characters based on like, I think like the amalgams from like Undertale, and then like Steven Universe corruptions, because that's what you expect of the interests of an 11-year-old. And I think you can find a lot of references in this series as well, which is you know, just as bad. I used a lot of like electro funk, you know, stereotypical music, and it was just really, you can tell it's just there to fill something, because I don't even know what it was gonna be. I don't want to play the actual songs. It's horrible to hear the sounds.
Gotta show off my songs. What the heck?
I use iMovie. Do you see this white line? There's a split feature in iMovie where you can just put two things together like at the same time. I thought that was the coolest thing. I used the, what was it, Soundline Challenge?
What is that face?
And then I use like stereotypical, it's like music snapped from like other famous videos. And there's some cringe dialogue. And then you see that placeholder iMovie text? It's like your sad music. I don't, there's a reason.
Whoa, oh, I see it.
Yeah. And then I black and white. Oh, it's so sad. Oh, he drops his hand, but like it's so weird, and you know. Oh no, he died. And then
That's kind of sad.
And then I used to do like series intros with like NCS.
How many intros do you have?
A lot.
Oh, dude, gore warning?
No, it's not even that. Like, it's like, oh, using 5% of my power. Oh my god, it's like Shaggy or that's no fun. It's just like, while one fight's happening, the other people are just idling around and then dying. It's just a solid background, solid floor. I use like Undertale music for like the climax battle. Do you want to have a bad time? Oh my god, it's so epic. I hate that. I think that's why it's right away from the community now, because I think all things have a peak. By now, it's kind of like eased down. back then, when we all started, we were like the majority of the animators that we refer to as idols today were like really young. You just want to screw around with an app. But now that we're older, like people have jobs, or I was like probably the youngest, but like people are really busy. They have IRL things to go through, and I'm surprised that like the good portion of them either you move on to bigger things like Flash. Like I think Neon Anims and David, I think, or D41GD, something like that. He eventually like go on to work on like I think Boruto or something like that. Yeah, because you can't hold on to this childhood that was StickNodes' like peak at this point. It's like everyone's grown up. That's probably the point.
This is getting a little like philosophical deep.
Yeah. So let's just check out the.
Are we still doing inspirations right now?
Nah. So we're gonna use this thing as a reference to keep track of everyone who's alive in this series. In episode 9, this is the fight with SMX's Dark Side. So that guy dies by getting stabbed in the nuts. I think his name was Blaze. He's from Elements. So
You got stabbed in the nuts?
yeah, Elements is supposed to be a prequel, right? So they go back to the past, and you know they meet their past selves, and then they fight each other. But that's a missing scene that I discussed it already. I want to stray away from SMX not being the main character at all.
I killed him.
I killed him a total of 3 times in this series. In the next episode, he sacrifices himself, and then we're left with his former self to open portals and introduce just the plot of the next overall thing. In the 11th episode, where he fights off the present version of SMX, he dies twice. Both his past self and his alternate universe self die. In one of the episodes, the StickNodes demon comes out and he evaporates one of the characters from existence. I think the name is Zerlaw. He's gone. In this fight, halfway between, Drain died. So sad.
No.
Ryan's rocks. They become a mutation of corruption, because that would be freaking funny.
Dude, my parents are calling me for.
So this door, that was the whole premise of chapter 3, where there's a riddle. Open the secrets behind the door, find 2 main servants that have results to sort. Okay, that's just a terrible rhyme scheme. Basically, it's just take 2 main characters out of 2 different series, which they end up doing, which was Slap Style, which for his reference, and then an alternate version of Volt that they grabbed up from like episode 9. SMX and Kaido taken away mysteriously. May has lost all her hope and joy seeing Kaido being taken twice. This is the only character development you ever get at any point of the series. It's just May slowly becoming depressed because everyone's dying around her. Yeah, it's just something to hold on to for when I get to the finish of this series. Everyone, they divided into 2 different groups because there was 2 parts of the riddle that they had to solve. So the plan with the 3D thing is supposed to be really extremely meta, where the 6 characters would leave the screen of the iPad. StickNodes characters live in StickNodes, and they're all part of a code. And so the moment they leave that multiverse thing, they become 3D. So they actually exit the iPad that they found residence in. They were supposed to enter a computer with Adobe Flash. The point of it's the key fighting is just to get some like references to Flash animators, because they were popular too. During this fight, Bolt will disappear, as well as the fusion of Ryan Ramondo. I think I teased about this many times. I just can't get any more explicit than that. But so why is that important? I'll get into that later. But let's go back to the spoilers. In episode 14, the cast enters Ralph's lair, because that was the plan when they got to the 3D part. And when they got the 2 main characters from 2 alternate universes, they had to be sacrificed. So I'm sorry, Slapstyle, if you're watching this, but your character eventually dies anyway. They will first come across Kazuko, that backstab them, providing locations information, and he separates them all. So, in that next part, Hullbreaker fights Jirito, who blames him for Drain's death and how he started everything. Hullbreaker will take off Jirito's arm, and Jirito will severely injure Hullbreaker. I think I hinted this in the third opening, where there's someone purple, and then Breaker using ice abilities. That's just a hint that they would eventually fight. Hullbreaker was the first person to get corrupted, and I think everyone blamed him for it. So Shadow is the character D41VD, and he would be the first corrupted as well. In the original series, Hecray was really bent on trying to recover his best friend from the corruption, and he blames himself all about it. They reunite and went to fight again because Hecray was really determined to recover his friend. Adam is also there, which later turns into them fighting all the corrupted shoulders because, you know, Shadow's part of the corruption. Adam will ultimately die trying to defend Hecray, and Shadow will ultimately save Hecray again from terror. Slayer will fight Joker, who finally goes insane. Slayer ultimately escapes while Joker goes on his own. He doesn't die, he just disappears from the series entirely. Episode 15. Somewhat the final battle. Hullbreaker, Jirito, Hecray, Shadow, and Slayer fight Ralph, who uses SMZ Kaido Bolt and the Amalgamation's powers to create an ultimate being. Rai and Zero come out alive because all Ralph needed was a mutation part. Hullbreaker is ultimately killed. Jirito's mad because he knows that he caused him to be fatally injured in the first place. But in a plot twist, Ralph is ultimately killed by Sean due to his impatience. Here's the big plot twist of the series. It's not actually Ralph that's killing everyone. It's actually Sean, who is the main antagonist of the series. And I think I tried to hide that, or tried to hint at it very well that it was Sean by putting it here and then putting Sean in this intro where he just has all the strings attached. It's kind of literal. I'm not sure why anyone didn't catch on it, but it was pretty subtle. I think there are like other Easter eggs, like there's an updating bar where the numbers like decipher into Sean. Yeah. So basically, the big bad is Sean, and I'll explain why he was the big bad in the first place. But if you're the creator of an app that a lot of people love, like the entire StickNodes community, and you just don't get as much spotlight as someone else like Ralph did, I think that was just an explanation of it all. So, the final episode, episode 16. Sean summons previous characters that represent the few followers that supported him, using all the features in StickNodes to his favor. So it's like opacity, hue, mostly the copy and paste and delete button. It's kind of an insta-kill button, but you expect that from like the admin of the creator of StickNodes, who knows all the features. So when all goes dire, Hecray breaks the delete button after he's selected, and he inadvertently kills himself. And that's the end. So without the delete button, Sean cannot add any more figures, and the max is 40, so he cannot overload because he can't delete anything to make up for it. It's slowly getting to the point where people can fight him. Then it gets really messy. So either Rai or Zero is corrupted and fights the other characters. Sean is unable to manipulate everyone else to the memory usage. We all know that StickNodes has memory issues when you have too many things going on. Then Zero cuts Rai off after Rai shows mercy. Zero bleeds out, killing corrupted Zero. So, Shadow, Slayer versus Sean, the final battle begins. So, it's supposed to be Shadow's like redemption arc after being corrupted for so long that he eventually becomes the savior of everyone and representing everyone. So, Slayer is sliced via polyfill but gives his last of his energy to Shadow. Now we're back to Shadow. He taps into everyone's power. Everyone's fallen because he's like their champion, and he fights against Sean with the power of everyone that's died so far to come this far. And well, in the end, he dies. Yeah. They lose the final battle. I'm sorry to say. Except one person, which I didn't really explain further. It's me. And after the death of everyone she knew, after the death of her brother twice, and she eventually became this person without emotion, who was cold-blooded, and just didn't want to cooperate with anyone. And eventually she would go outside of the iPad again. This was supposed to take place in one iPad. That's why there's like memory in StickNodes and like an app, etc. So when she leaves, it's like she leaves the iPad. In a previous episode, I talked about how they leave the iPad to go travel to find the key and etc. So she leaves that iPad. Instead of going outside and escaping, she goes to the iPad settings and does a system reboot of the entire iPad. So that means everything in the entire iPad is erased, including her and just everything of the corruption. She saves it all by killing herself. And that's supposed to be the end of Corrupted. Like, it's saved. Every multiverse was saved. Everyone that was involved is gone, and there's just supposed to be no memory of it whatsoever. So, yeah. I think there was supposed to be another written ending where StickNodes is reopened after a long time, and everyone finds himself alive. But it's just to be, those bittersweet endings where she finds out that May in particular finds out that she's been selected, like as in like when you click on someone in StickNodes,